Hi everyone, it's me again. I'm here to do my glee cap of Girls and Boys on Film. It is, of course, we're in season 4, as we all know, episode number 15. So by my count, we should have 7 episodes left in the season. Usually, the Fox orders, or basically they order 22 episodes for a whole season. So the writer of this episode was Michael Hitchcock. You might remember him, possibly. He played the teacher of the deaf kids in that school when they did the sign language for Imagine. So he's an actor and writer. So he's been there since season 1, which is evident, I thought, throughout the writing of this whole episode. And the director of this wonderful episode was Ian Brennan. So overall, I really, really, really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was one of the strongest ones this season. Um, Probably except from Diva, only because that obviously was heavy Santana, Naya Rivera. So I think that they've gotten better and better so far since the midway point. So, I would say midterm wise, they've sucked, and then now in this second half or second semester, whatever you want to call it, they've been getting better. So I'm going to break this down by musical numbers because there's a lot. By my count, there's 8, I believe. And then after that, we'll dissect Lima versus Brooklyn. Okay? So here we go. So the first musical number was right off the bat. We have Emma and Will. They are singing You're All the World to Me, which is from The Royal Wedding. And this harkens back to Fred Astaire, one of the most iconic figures in movie musicals. So it was in black and white. It was a wonderful homage. The way they did the whole thing was beautiful. And I just have to say, between last week's episode and this week's episode, I didn't realize how much I missed Emma Pillsbury. So yay, Jayma Mays. I'm so happy that you are back again. Mr. Schuster, not so much, but we'll just get to that later. So the next musical number we have is Shout. So this is the big one. This was the 500th the 500th musical performance they've done on Glee. It's hard to believe that they've done 500, but if you recall, midway through season, I believe it was 3, when the Troubletones did the mashup of Adele songs, I believe that was number 250 maybe, or 300. It was another milestone number. I do remember that. So maybe it was 300. So from then to now, I guess it's conceivable that 500 had happened, but obviously somebody's keeping count. So at any rate, 500, 500. So just imagine what number they'll get to when they finally end the show. So anyway, I thought that this number was worthy of being the 500th musical performance. It featured all of New Direction. So by my count, that's 12 kids because when they do the mashups, they split them up in boys versus girls, and it's 6 and 6, if I'm counting correctly. So at any rate, the leads of the song were Blaine and Brittany, which I thought was amazing. I thought it was wonderful. The first thing that I noticed was when Sam was closing his locker, you could see his collection of lip gloss or lip chap or whatever he calls it. It was hysterical. So I would say if you want to see all the musical performances without actually watching the episode again, I suggest you go to gleeonfox.com here on YouTube on their specific channel, and there you could find pretty much all the musical performances from last night, as well as this cool video that's called The Road to 500, which basically some of the cast members talk about their favorite, numbers that they've done and remembering the pilot to now. It was a pretty cool video. So it was insane. It was like balls to the walls, breakneck, hyper speed, just going full out the whole way. So it is crazy to think about where they started from, as some of, like, I think Kevin McHale and Chris Colfer were saying, like, they thought that in the pilot that was the most difficult when they did, You're Rocking the Boat, and they were like, thank God. And then the show where they've evolved to now, it's pretty amazing. One of my favorite moments, there's two. The first moment was finally, yay! Sugar Mon is back. Where have you been, Sugar? We've missed you. I've missed you. There's a scene in the library where they're trying to be quiet because part of the song for Shadow is like, they're like trying to get quiet, trying to get quiet because they're in the library. And there's a moment where Brittany is like basically patting the head down of Sugar Mata. So I thought that was cute. I love how Heather just ad libs and does funny things and mugs for the camera and does these great facial expressions as she's lip syncing to herself singing. Like she just, oh my god. I mean, she makes something out of nothing a lot of the time. So which has been lately for her character. So anyway, the next musical number we come to is Come What May, taken from Moulin Rouge. This is a Klein duet. I don't actually remember the movie that much because I've seen it. It was a long time ago, but this is probably the most memorable song from that movie musical. Um, so I thought it was wonderful. I thought that it was appropriate, obviously, that Chris Colfer slash Kurt took Nicole Kidman's part, I'm assuming, in this, song, and Darren Chris took Ewan McGregor's part in the song. So I thought it was beautifully staged. It was very, very nice. Not even nice. I mean, it was just amazing. Considering, yes, I like Klain, but I'm not like a huge Klain shipper. I was happy that the Klainers got that moment for them. And just to remind everyone, this is count number 2 for Blaine's singing lead on the song. Because he did it on Shout, and then he did it on this. And surprise, surprise, he also sings lead in the boys mashup. So the boys mashup was Top Gun. They did Highway to Danger Zone. So Blaine was the lead, and um, who was there? Joe and Artie were his backups. And then we have from Risky Business, Old Time Rock and Roll, excuse me, where Sam is the lead, and then Jake and Ryder are with him. So I thought that honestly, the boys matchup did beat the girls. I find that disappointing because I feel like every time they do the mashups, when they do boys versus girls, the boys always end up winning, which is so frustrating for me because I'm a feminist and I want the girls to win. But at any rate, I just thought they executed it much better with the costumes, the singing, like the way the songs were mashed up together. I thought it was pretty seamless. I think that the use of Artie in a wheelchair was like the best ever since season 1 when they did the Wheels episode. I can't remember a time when his wheelchair was used like better, actually. I know, I'm trying to take a breath. I'm also trying to do these videos shorter, so I apologize if I talk too fast and you don't understand what I'm saying, because I don't want them to be, 25 minutes long. That's way too long. This is supposed to be a recap, not Jen talking on forever and ever and ever. So, anyway, moving on to the girls mashup. The girls mashup, they did Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, as sung by Marilyn Monroe, I believe, gosh, am I saying that wrong? And then Madonna's Material Girl. So I thought the outfits were gorgeous. They felt very appropriate. They were harkening back to Madonna's music video or whatever movie she was in that she did Material Girl. She wore a very similar dress, and that they have gloves on, like really nice gloves, and they had jewelry on, and their hair was beautiful. So I thought that part of it was great. I just, so the leads on this song were Marley and Unique, and then everybody else was backup. I think that they've decided that those are the two strongest, like, those are the two, I don't know, this is like the third time they've been paired together, if I can remember. So I would have preferred to see Tina do something, like, be more of a lead and not be such a background character. But, I guess you can't ask for everything, so that's how they relegated her, too. I do love the moment when Sugar does her little, like, leg kick, or she does something in it. That was really, like, really cute. And so the other thing that has made crystal clear to me now is that Unique is definitely transgendered, because I mean I know I'm slow to the pickup sometimes, but it's obvious if they're throwing Unique in the boys versus girls mashup with the girls, then Unique is transgendered. So yay for Glee for showing love to the transgender community. Okay, so the next one is Mr. Shu and New Directions, all the kids again, doing Peter Gabriel's In Your Eyes, which is from the wonderful, lovely movie Say Anything. So this is exactly how it plays out when John Cusack, I can't remember the characters' names, but John Cusack comes with a boombox, that wicked old boombox that Blaine hands to Mr. Shu, and like basically blasts this song to, I believe the actress was Ione Skye, who's in a window. So it's very Romeo and Juliet like, sort of, in a modernish kind of way. So anyway, as you can see, I really love that movie. That is like the era that I grew up in. Obviously, I'm aging myself a ton. So the only point I have to say here is, like, I really wonder if Mr. Shu can do anything without the children. Not, I mean, they're not children, but New Directions. Like, it was great. I love the song. It's one of my, I love hearing that song. But I just wonder, like, shit, can you do anything without them? Like, the only other thing that I could say about the performance, is find the fact that I love the song, is that Heather does the Naya hand singing thing gesture. If the one brief moment they pan, because she's all the way in the back, like back to the behind the car essentially. But she does the whole whatever. I'm not again. I can't sing. That's why that was horrible. I'll never do that again. I promise. So moving on to the next musical number. It is from Ghost and it is Unchained Melody. So this is another one of those movie moments that most people can like just remember watching. So it's when Demi Moore's character and Patrick Swayze, I believe Demi Moore's character is like throws pottery and does clay pots and stuff like that. Which I've done. It's fun if you've never done it. It's a lot of fun to do. But anyway, it's the moment in the movie when she's like trying to throw a pot or make something, and like Patrick Swayze comes behind her and they do the whole scene. So it's one of those things that, like I said, is very very memorable. The thing that I hated about it is that they give the specific song to Jake, Marley, and Ryder in that triangle. Like I just honestly, that would have been more appropriate for Will and Emma. Like, really. Oh, gosh. Don't, I mean, they've been together for barely half a season. Like, how many episodes? And they're singing Unchained Melody to each other. To sum up how I feel about this performance, I'm just going to read the tweet that I tweeted out last night. It was this. Jarly, Ridley, Ghost, really? I don't think so. Unchained Melody belongs to Britannia. Hashtag step off. So that's how I feel about that. So now we're up to the final musical number of this insanely jam-packed episode, which was Footloose. So I noticed now that they're doing this like they used to do, end all the episodes on a big group number. So this was the one, and it was all the New Directions kids dancing it up, having a fun time. So again, this is another one of those. Oh gosh, was this in the 80s? It must have been the 80s. Another classic 80s movie where Footloose, amazing, lots of fun. So some of my favorite parts to pick out of this musical number was with Artie, since obviously he can't do the whole foot movement because he's in a wheelchair. He takes his shoes at the beginning and goes like this with them. Like I thought that was cute. And then of course my eye always goes to Heather whenever we have musical numbers. So she does really fun things when they're on the catwalk when it's Brittany, what's her name? Brittany Unique and oh god, the replacement for Quinn. Why can't I remember your name right now? Well, at any rate, I can't. That's how I just. Oh gosh. So anyway, we have Hemo. She picks up Becca Tobin, and then she actually Heather takes off her shoe at the one point because it matches up with the song when they talk about taking off your shoes or slip off your shoes, and Heather actually takes off her shoe. So I thought that overall it was a fun number, great way to end this amazing episode that was a tribute to music in movies. So let us go on to Lima versus Brooklyn. We'll start with Lima since that's where we ended my brief moment. Hold on. Sorry. My computer is acting up. One moment. Sorry about that. So, I took notes again. Obviously, this is helping me out, and I feel like I'm not being so all over the place. So, I'm in the last half of my page. So, this is yay! So, in Lima, we have several things going on. Um, namely with Will and Emma, and then, of course, with Marley, Jake, Ryder, that whole thing. So, the first thing I have to say is Will is an imbecile. Like, he really is. I just I think it was more clear that when he was gone to Washington D.C. to support the arts, I honestly forgot about him. I'm not even kidding you. So if that goes to show that Finn is doing a better job than him, or at least the same mediocre job that Mr. Shu is doing, so be it. So that's what I think. I think that they should honestly wrap up the storylines with Will and Emma and Sue even, and if they decide to take the next season, which they are renewed, or I believe they're probably going to get renewed for a fifth season, because the rumor is that they're going to try to do one location only, which would make sense if it was New York. That they should just let the teachers go. Give them a little pink slip, wrap up their storylines, and then be the end of it. obviously you can tell that my heart lies with the old cast, the graduates, and not these new kids. As much as I know that they're talented actors, which we've seen, Ryder specifically has surprised me with his dancing ability. And I like the actors per se. I don't necessarily like their characters they portray. So anyway, the boys and girls mashup, the basis of it is because Artie is shooting a short film. So we find out in the end that nobody actually won this whole singing mash-off thing. Everybody wins because Artie realizes he needs that many people in his movie. So yay for everybody. The best part about that um, was Sugar being like, "What? Nobody wins and we're all losers." She said something like that. I thought, yay for Sugar. We've missed you so much. I've missed you a lot. The other thing that happens is that Finn decides to be a stand-up bro and tell his best friend, who used to be his father figure for the prior 3 seasons of this show, but in season 4 apparently now he's his best man, to tell him, like, listen up, dude, I kissed your girl. I'm sorry. I wish that Mr. Shu had decked him. Like, come on, Will, just deck him. He was asking to get punched. Punch him in the face. Give him a haymaker or something. But I guess in this they don't want to promote violence, so he just kind of stares him down and walks away. Because I guess that's worse than getting socked in the mouth. I would have loved seeing a slap. I would have loved seeing Santana and Quinn slap him both at the same time, either side. So now I kind of feel that Finn kind of can understand now how Santana must have felt getting outed in the middle of the hallway of school. Granted, this hallway was not busy. Granted, I still think that nothing will ever, ever reach the magnitude of how horrible that outing was. But maybe Finn gets it now, that you should never do shit like that. Basically, don't do shit like that to your friend. Don't be a cheater, or instigate cheating, sort of, or a kiss when you shouldn't have. And don't out people. The other little note that we get to see is that after Unchained Melody, um, Marley knows that Jake wasn't the one who did all the Valentine stuff, that it was Ryder. And then she confesses that Ryder kissed her and that she let it happen. So then we get one glaring stare from Jake during Footloose over towards Ryder, and that's obviously going to be continued later on. So, moving on to Brooklyn, it's all about Santana, which makes me so happy. Her presence is completely felt while they're in Brooklyn, snowed in, which is pretty appropriate because my brother just told me that it was pretty much snowing wicked hard over there, because he's in Jersey. So I was like, wow, that's awesome. They got snowed in. So Brooklyn really is snowed in right now. Bushwick is snowed in right now. So anyway, this episode had no Brody in it, which makes me a million times happy because he's such a sleazy dirtbag. But we have Adam there, so apparently he really is Kurt's boyfriend. So in my opinion, I feel like Rachel and Kurt have half boyfriends. If that makes sense. Rachel's half boyfriend is and Finn, and then the other half is Brody, and then Kurt has half of Blaine and half of Adam. Does that make sense? So at any rate, they're snowed in, they're watching Moulin Rouge, because they all decide that it's the best one to pick, and it obviously goes with the fact that Klaine does the Come What May performance. But the best part of this was Santana, because we find out she's rifling through their drawers. She actually goes underneath the beds. She calls out Brody for his wad of cash in his pager, says that he must be a drug dealer. That's the most obvious choice or decision when you have a pager and like $1,200 in cash. And the best gif ever, which I've already seen, people have gifted this on Tumblr, is the one of her pretending to snort a line of cocaine off of her own arm. So it's obvious that they can get away with this because this was at a later time. It was at 9:30 this time, so by the time that snorting coke line thing happened, it was probably around 10 o'clock. So it was appropriate for the time period. Obviously, this never would have happened at 8 o'clock at night. But the end of that was that she actually befriends Rachel. Through all of her insults, and she has a heart-to-heart with Rachel, and she says, listen, I actually went through the trash too, which I find disgusting. But she went through the trash without rubber gloves. Gross. Sorry, I'm a nurse, so I feel like you need to have gloves on to do stuff like that. It's just nasty. But she says she found the pregnancy test and that she knows. And like Rachel just there's nothing more she could do. She can't hold it in anymore. Somebody knows her secret, so she just kind of starts to cry. and goes towards Santana's shoulder, and Santana just, wraps her up in her arms and tells her, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. I mean, that's the only thing you can really say, right? She didn't know how Rachel was gonna react. She's telling Rachel she's her friend and she could trust her and she could tell her anything. And that's what Rachel, by her crying, that signifies that she thinks she's pregnant. So I'm curious to see how this will play out, how Santana and Rachel, obviously this will make their friendship stronger. It's something, that we started to see form when they all the way back last year when they did the Whitney duet together and they make, she gives Santana a picture of her to put up in her locker or something like that, if I recall. So we can see now that they're going to be forging this friendship, which is great because already Rachel and Kurt are established as friends, and Kurt and Santana are at least considered allies because they're both gay. So this is exciting. I love that Santana is shaking up Bushwick and shaking up New York City with the fact that she's there. I wish they put her there a lot sooner. So I think that's all I have to say. This is under 25 minutes. Yay! We're at 21 minutes right now. I'm going to add a couple links on the bottom to After Ellen because Heather Hogan is always a great recap. They always compile the great tweets of the night, which the hashtag gay sharks. And I'm going to also add one of the great fan fiction writers of Britannia. She wrote a little ficclet about the Rachel and Santana friendship, a Pesbury moment that is supposed to take place after this whole moment they just had. So anyway, I will see all of you next Friday, because we will be having another brand new episode. It's called Feud, and NSYNC is going to be sung, which makes me so happy. I was wondering when they were going to do NSYNC or some boy band, and they're finally doing it. Alright, peace out, Omies. Have a great week. I'll see you then. Take care. Bye.